Hey everyone! Don't mind me, I just, I didn't put on any makeup, didn't wash my face this morning, looking like trash, wearing my glasses. That's okay. I just wanted to hop on here to kind of describe to you guys what this new series is going to be. So, I have a ton of makeup, and most people that know me know that I have a lot of makeup, and my number one priority is to obviously get use out of it. Yes, I have my favorite things that I sometimes use a little bit more, but the way that I have found that I can get the most use out of my makeup is by rotating it out every single week. And sometimes this ends up being 2 weeks, so that means that I use entirely new products. So I change my foundation, concealer, eyeshadows, how I bronze, how I contour, everything like that, change my brow products even. So I'm going to be doing this as a series every single week. I normally change these out on Sundays, and then I wear this makeup throughout the week, and then I change it again on the next Sunday. So I'm going to be uploading these every single Monday. It's kind of going to take place of my declutter series, which I'm kind of sad that I finished uploading those, but I'm glad that they've had such a great response on my channel. I'm glad you guys all like those. I'm sure I'm going to do another declutter later in the year, but for right now I'm just going to be using what I decided to keep for my declutter. Be sure to keep watching to see what products I'm going to be using this week. So for moisturizer, I'm going to be using this one by Beenigma. I've heard Jessica Braun talk about this a lot on her channel. If you don't or watch her channel, you definitely need to check her out. She's one of my all-time favorites. It's the all-in-one face cream. It has bee venom, manuka honey, and shea butter. So I'm definitely excited to give this a try this week. For primer, I'm going to be using this one by Maybelline. It is the Baby Skin Instant Pore Eraser. I've had this for quite a while. I don't love it. I kind of am indifferent about it. It doesn't do a whole lot for me, but it does kind of cancel out some of my pores. I don't know if it necessarily makes my makeup last longer or not though. So if you're getting something for like trying to make your makeup last longer, I wouldn't recommend this one, but it does do a good job of filling in my pores. I'm also going to be using my NYX Dark Circle Corrector. Right now, this is the only color corrector that I own. I'm looking to try some more out, but this one is really good. It's pretty lightweight. It's not the most full coverage color corrector, but it does get rid of my dark circles, so I really like this. Mine is in the shade Light, so you can see it's an orangey salmony color. For foundation, I'm going to be using this one by L'Oreal. It is the Infallible Pro Glow Foundation, and I wear mine in the shade 203 right now. I normally am 202, but since right now I did get a little bit of a tan last weekend when I went to the lake, so I'm going to be using the shade 203. I really love this foundation. I think it provides a nice amount of coverage. It's pretty lightweight. It's super easy to blend. I have to get up at about 5:30 or 6 every morning to go to work, so this is really quick and easy to throw on, and I love that. And it actually lasts a fairly long time on my combination skin. So for concealer, I'm going to be using this one by Catrice. It is the Liquid Camouflage High Coverage Concealer, and I have mine in the shade 010 Porcelain. I do like this concealer okay. It's not my all-time favorite. It does look a little bit cakey under the eyes. I mean, just slightly, but it's nothing too crazy. And it does offer quite a bit of coverage, so it also lasts pretty well throughout the day. I find that with like powder and setting spray and stuff, you can make anything last fairly well throughout the day. It's just all about how you set things into place. So I'm going to be using this one. Alright, for face powders I have two. To set my under eyes, I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Pressed Powder, and I have mine in the shade Warm Light. I talked about this when I did my declutter on my powders. This one I don't like to use all over my face because it doesn't keep me matte all day long, but I do like to use it to set my under eyes because it's a really lightweight powder. And then for all over my face, I'm using my trusty Maybelline Fit Me in the shade Translucent. And I really love this stuff. I don't use it to set under my eyes because it does tend to look a little bit drying there, but it does keep me matte all day long while not taking away any natural luminosity that my skin gives off throughout the day, especially when I'm wearing that L'Oreal Pro Glow foundation. So love this stuff. For bronzer and contour, I'm going to be using this palette by E.L.F. It's their contour palette. You can see I've used that kind of under eye setting shade quite a bit. It comes with like an illuminizer, a bronzer, and a contour. So these two are going to primarily be what I'm using. I might go into this highlighter, but probably not, and I don't think I'm going to be using the setting powder at all this week. But I do really love E.L.F's palettes, and I am still planning on doing a video on all of E.L.F's little face palettes that they have. I just have a couple more that I need to try, and then I will be ready to do that video. For blush this week, I'm going to be using this palette by Broadway Colors. It is in the shade Spring, and it has 3 really pretty blush shades and also a highlight, and the highlight is actually really good as well. So I think this is a great affordable palette. I think it's around or below $5, so that's pretty good for getting 4 different shades. For my highlight though, I want to get more use out of this Nomad highlighter in the shade Midnight Sun. I got this last month in my Ipsy bag. I will link that video up in the cards, but it's a really pretty light champagne color. Nothing crazy, nothing I haven't had before, tried before. I just want to get use out of it, so I'm going to be using that one. As far as eyes go, we all know I'm going to be using my Milani eyeshadow primer to prime my eyes. Oh! I dropped it. This is by far the best eye primer I've ever tried. It's super inexpensive. Works great. The tiniest bit goes a long way. I've had this bottle for so long. I already have a backup because I know as soon as I run out of this, I'm going to need it again. Highly, highly recommend this one. For eyeshadows, I'm using an E.L.F. eyeshadow palette, and this is the original Mad for Matte eyeshadow palette. So you get kind of, I would call these neutral tones. They're not super warm and they're not really cool tones either, so they're just kind of neutral. You get nice transition shades. These are all matte. These are not the best eyeshadows that I've ever tried in my whole life, but they're definitely blendable. They're really pigmented, and for the price, you really can't beat it. This palette is only about $10. And then I'm going to be bringing in this shimmer shadow from City Colors. This one is in the shade Cheers to Life. It's a really beautiful kind of auburn coppery shade, very similar to Amber Rush from the L'Oreal Infallible little pressed pigments that they sell, which is one of my favorite shadows of all time, so I'm going to get more use out of this one. I'm also going to be using this E.L.F. It's like a liquid matte eyeshadow in the shade Blushing Rose. I used to get a lot of use out of this, and I haven't for a while, but it's really easy for like a one shadow look, quick, blend it up into your crease, and you're out the door, which I need for the mornings I don't want to get up super early, so going to be using that too. Really like this one. For brows this week, I'm going to be testing out this Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade in the shade Medium Brown. I've never tried this before. I just recently got into pomade, so I wanted to go ahead and pick this one up since it's kind of the OG. Everyone loves this one. I'm going to pair it with my Maybelline Brow Define and Fill. It has pencil on one side and like powder on the other side. I never use the powder in, and I've actually gotten away from this. I haven't used it for probably 3 or 4 months. I used to use this one religiously, and then I just kind of got away from it, so I'm going to see how it pairs with the pomade. To set my brows, I'm going to be using the Essence Make Me Brow. I've gotten away from this one a little bit too, haven't used it in a couple months, but I really, really like this brow gel. It sets my brows in place and adds a little bit of color to them. For my mascara, I'm finally getting around to trying the Pure Fully Charged Mascara. I got this in an Ipsy a couple months ago. It was even in my declutter video for my mascaras that I filmed back in May. So I am finally getting around to trying this. It just kind of got lost in my collection after I moved. I just threw it in a box and there it sat. So I'm going to be testing this one out. For setting spray, I'm going to be using my Hard Candy Sheer Envy Hydrating Primer Mist. I love this stuff, and I've already went through 1 bottle of it. It sets my makeup into place and helps it last all day, but it doesn't feel heavy, and it definitely is a little bit hydrating. It's also oil-free, silicone-free, and alcohol-free, and I love that. Also going to be using this Diamond Sponge by Real Techniques. I'm mentioning this because I have about probably 10 different sponges. I have about 10 different sponges that I keep in here. I need to wash some of them, but I have like the new Beauty Blender Swirl. I got a couple other beauty blenders in there. Got a Real Techniques sponge, this L'Oreal sponge, and I try to switch those out also every week, so this week I'm going to be using this one. This sponge is not as soft as the original Real Techniques sponge, and when you wet it, it does get more squishy, but it's not as squishy as a beauty blender or anything like that. So it's not my favorite, but it does get the job done, and I'm going to be using this week. And finally, onto my lipsticks. So as far as liquid lipsticks go, I think I'm going to be using two. I'm going to be using the Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink in the shade Loyalist. I really like this. It does feel a little bit sticky when you first apply it, but it does end up drying down. I'm also going to be using my Rimmel Stay Matte Liquid Lip Color. This one is in the shade Be My Baby, and I really like this color. This one dries down super fast. This is also kind of a liquid lipstick, but it doesn't dry down matte, but it is super long lasting. This is by Trust Fund Beauty. It's in the shade K By, and I got this in my first ever Ipsy bag way back when. I really like this shade. It's very kind of mauve, cool toned, but it's still really wearable. So if you don't like super dark colors, but you want something that's not going to make your lips look washed out and you still want to add some color, I think this kind of color is a really good option, and the formula is great too. And then I'm also going to have my Revlon Ultra HD kind of lipstick thing in the shade HD Sand, I believe. Yeah, HD Sand. Love this stuff. Probably my favorite lipstick of all time. I have one that I keep with me at all times, and then one that I keep like in my beauty drawers and whatnot, just because I love it so much. I'm going to try not to use it too much this week since I use it literally all the time, but for some mornings when I don't feel like picking a color that goes with my eye look, this one goes with basically everything. It's a perfect nude color. And then I'm also breaking out a gloss here. This is my NYX Butter Gloss. I don't normally wear glosses, but I thought I might try to use this one this week. This is a really good formula. I've just kind of stepped away from glosses just because it's like an added step, but this one is pigmented enough I can wear it on its own. Oh, did I say what shade? It's in the shade Creme Brulee. So going to be using that this week. Alright, these are all the products I'm going to be using this week. Let me know if you guys have tried any of these, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye!